She's a best-selling author, a literary agent, and a publisher who's curated thousands of query letters and projects. As experienced editors, Deborah Herman and her team of professionals have seen every possible mistake a fiction writer can make. In fact, she's identified 7 mistakes that make all the difference between a compelling novel and a dud. Deborah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be able to share accumulated knowledge because it's so difficult for writers to look at their own work and to know these pitfalls that they can easily fall into. And it's going to just keep circling back to where they are frustrated and they don't know how to improve.
Well, one such mistake fiction writers can make is tense inconsistency. Are there set rules for what tense to use in a novel? You've discussed the issue of active scene. Doesn't that automatically require the writer to use the present tense to show action?
Please don't. It does not mean use present tense. The tense agreement issue is actually an issue of grammar. However, we wanted to highlight it because it's so common in books that we see in making the decision in the beginning of what tense to use. Then, of course, you have the problem of choosing one and then switching sometimes mid-paragraph. And every gray hair I have is called tense disagreement. Because it can drive any editor up a tree. But really, the first thing that writers ought to do is to master the rules of grammar, and it's not easy. I mean, we're going to be offering an NPM style guide with the most common grammatical problems, but grammar, while it's highly important to the writing of a book, there are tools that can help people, if they use them wisely, to work through some of the common grammatical mistakes. However, there are choices to be made with what tense to use. It's very rare that a writer, especially an inexperienced writer, can accomplish a really high quality manuscript with present tense. I know people say that, well, you're right in the action, but it's so easy then to slip back into past tense. If you're telling a story, it is perfectly appropriate to tell the whole thing in past tense. And you'll find, you'll again have to look into the rules of grammar for whether, what form of a word that you need to use, because there are rules associated with that. So my recommendation for any novelist, if you're not experienced, is just pick a tense. I hope it's a past tense, and just stick with it throughout the book. Because otherwise you're going to get yourself in trouble. And there are so many other aspects of your writing that will need your attention in storytelling, in creating your characters and finding their motivations, that this is an area that you really don't want to do a whole lot of experimenting. We really tell our authors, master grammar, and then when you really are confident, and if you want to, then you can play with the rules, but you need to know what they are.
If writers want to know more about the rest of the 7 mistakes and whether or not they're making them, what should they do?
They should go to assessmybook.com and look at what we have to offer. My opinion is that no matter where you are, how many books you've written, every book is new, every book is different, and all writers need professional eyes on their work, because we become too close to it. And the assessment process looks at your work from a high level through the lens of these mistakes, because if you're making them, you can't move forward in any direction, and you're gonna keep circling the drain. So that's what we recommend. Assessmybook.com.
Deborah, thank you for joining us.